Dun,
Oh.
dun, 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 dun,
I was
dun,
waiting for
dun.
some music to come on. I didn't realize it would be you singing.
That's the best
Great.
I could do at the moment. I don't know why I chose the Imperial March. I don't know if it's quite appropriate.
Yeah, it feels like something a little more triumphant and heroic would be slightly better.
Dun, 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 dun. There we go.
There you go. Much better. Much better.
Adam, how are you today?
Great. I'm very excited. It's nice to be back in LA for a little bit, and it's very exciting to have officially launched everything. I'm at a friend's house, sitting in my friend's daughter's bedroom. So it's the bed in the background because he's
Yes.
sitting in bed. I promise.
And breaking up slightly, so we'll get to interpret what you said about being in bed however way we want to. But bear with us. Bear with us. I think we're both having slight internet issues today, so apologies for that. But it won't keep the excitement level down. So we're going to do kind of a walkthrough of what we launched, how it works, how you can collect your own first of their kind Macroverse EPICS digital collectible comics that we've been working on for 2 years at this point. Having them out in the world feels like a personal triumph on some level, but even more so, it's just so exciting to see this thing that literally did start as a wouldn't it be if conversation and become something that people can own and interact with and play with. And so that's super exciting to get these into people's hands and to start to have a conversation about what they are, how they work, how we evolve this going forward, all of those cool things. So, before we kind of dive into the platform and talk a little bit about how they all work, Adam, what's your recollection of kind of the genesis of, this concept or this idea?
I mean, I actually feel like, am I coming through okay? That seems like things are stabilized now.
Yeah. At the moment, you're good. Yeah.
Oh, good. So, yeah, I believe we started talking about this actually, 12 years or so ago when we were working with Ricky and Kung Fu Factory doing the game Supremacy. And, we had just finished up that and we started looking around like, what is the next thing to do? And I give you the full credit here. You said, I think we should look at a digital comics platform. We can do all this cool stuff digitally that we can't do with print. I feel like there could be an ownership component, even though we weren't really kind of au fait with blockchain or any of that stuff at that time. But I feel like a lot of what we now have was in one of those early decks, conversations, whatever, that you put together. And I want to say it's like 12 years ago, maybe even a tiny bit longer.
Yeah. At some point, I was thinking about this morning. At some point, I don't know, maybe minted as an NFT. At some point, I was thinking like we should share that first deck because it is pretty fascinating. I looked back earlier this year. And some of it is radically different, but a lot of it is, kind of what we have just released. So it has been quite a journey, but I think fundamentally, like the belief in being able to do new things with new technology in the context of an art form and creativity and in telling stories, fundamentally is where we started and also where we landed. So and I do think it's like, for anyone that's in the Web3 space or the NFT space, like, what's interesting to me to think about is like I got exposed to the concept of Bitcoin in 2012, 2013. Lots of regret for not minting or not getting any Bitcoin at that point, but just I didn't get it. Like it was a person I was working with who was setting up mining rigs, and I was like, hey, we can get these. I think they're worth like 25 cents or something like that. And I was like, interesting.
I had the same experience. It was someone I was working with. He was the dimmer board operator on the TV show I was doing at the time. And
Yeah.
that means he basically sits in the corner and he's on radio and they tell him, bring up this light, bring down this light. And he built himself a mining rig and just had it working away next to him in his little
Yeah.
booth as he was doing these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, very funny, fascinating stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Very funny. So yeah, around that time, and then that went away, and then the next exposure for me, which is relevant to this, is that I came across this platform which I didn't even know was an NFT platform called Rare Art. And I think it was actually because this does have a direct connection. The spoiler alert, the one of one cover artist for Hex 11 is a phenomenal illustrator named Brian Romero. And Brian and I had become friendly, working with his wife as well. On some early interactive web stuff. And Brian is just, phenomenal artist, but has done all kinds of work for skateboard companies and just, that's selling him short. All kinds of work for all kinds of companies, but he's got this very kind of underground comics kind of style. It's incredible cover that he did for Hex 11. But I actually came across Rare Art because Brian was one of the featured artists on that site. So he was, much earlier to all this than I was. But when I saw his work up there, for whatever reason, I was like, hey, I want to be on there too. So I sent an email to the guys at Rare Art and was like, tell me about this. How do you get on the platform? It's like probably one of the first NFT platforms, one of the very, very early NFT platforms.
Right.
They weren't calling them NFTs. At this point, it was crypto art. And, the way that you got art onto that. And I did end up getting some NFTs on there, or some crypto art on there, and actually selling a couple of pieces on there. But the way that whole process worked was you would get a Google form from them, fill out all of the information about each piece, send it back to them. And what I now realize is that they were minting them, putting them up on the platform in the background. But an interesting way of kind of obfuscating the user experience part of it was like, they're like, no one's going to understand how to do this. I'll just do it for them. And so they were actually the ones creating the tokens, putting the platform. And as we started to launch the mobile version of Macroverse, it just started to occur to me, like, maybe there's a way to integrate this idea of collectability, this kind of, crypto art thing, into this platform we were building. I think the earliest versions of it was less about actual collectible comics, although that was sort of a germ of an idea. It was more of like, what if you could have, posters or, fan art or, things that were kind of related to the particular comics that could be sold as crypto art and that. And so we actually got pretty far down the road in that conversation, to the point of starting to create a partnership with them, when at that point, this was the crash of the last cycle, like they just couldn't keep the business going. And so Brian and the other artists who are on that platform, including me, we are now some of those people that have tokens that point to nothing, because the databases that held the actual piece of art no longer exist. So I don't even know where those are, because it was all handed off to them. But somewhere out in the world, there are the first things that ever got minted onto the blockchain that are blank tokens to probably an AWS database, or who knows, maybe it's on IPFS somewhere. But that kind of started this kind of germ of this idea of some sort of blockchain component, some sort of collectible component, without really understanding how any of it worked. And then that kind of went away. So we just went on our way, the Web2, or the kind of traditional mobile app version of all of this. And then it was, the early days of the pandemic, when the NFT market was really starting to become a thing, where we kind of fell back into this rabbit hole, and the early Clubhouse conversations, and like so many people got excited about this notion of being able to take something that exists digitally, as more of us become native digital beings, I suppose, in some way. And as more of our lives,
let's put it that way. Yes.
Yeah, more of our lives happen in the digital realm. I find myself, funny enough, as I get older, caring less about physical things, but still wanting things. So, whereas I used to having, the the latest issue of a particular comic. And, certainly someone that went to the comic store every week and had a whole list. And at one point when I was a teenager, got way over my skis and the number of books that I was trying to collect for money that I had to collect them with. Had to have a really painful conversation with the comic store once where he was like, I pulled all these books for you, I pick them up. And I was like, my first experiences of being in debt was in debt to the comic store.
That's very funny.
But older, and I do have, it's like I want access to things. And what I think is hard for people that haven't made the leap into collecting digital objects, people that haven't collected their first NFTs, it's a little bit hard to get your head around. But I find that there really is a visceral experience to know that this thing is mine and that is yours. They can both be sitting next to each other. They can look identical. Of course, the whole, right click and save component of it, like all of that, totally in the mix. But to me, there really is something about, I own this. I have control over it. I can do something with it. I can put it over there if I want to. I can send it to you if I want to. I can sell it if someone wants to buy it. I can never sell it and give it to my kids if I, decide to do that. That amount of control over something that in some ways, because it's digital, to me almost magic, like that you don't own anything in this box that we're looking at, but now you can own the thing in this box that we're all looking at, is a science fiction in a kind of cool way in my mind. So to me, there's something very visceral and cool about that. And I think, as we continue to build this out, it's finding ways to balance the platform that we're building where you can kind of come in and enjoy the content that we're making and the content that we're helping other people make, and what we believe is really fantastic storytelling expressed in graphic. But being able to have the experience of that as a fan, as someone that can follow with characters and stories, also be able to own those things that you find that you do emotional connection, that you care about, that you want to have a richer, deeper connection to or experience around. Finding all of those opportunities is where we've accomplished some of those pieces, and it's where we're headed as we continue to develop this out. So anyway, I as anyone who's ever heard me talk about this before knows,
sure.
like,
so I feel like without
we
further
should be
ado, we should be showing this off.
We should be showing this off. After a very long preamble, yes. All right. So the moment you've been waiting for,
not to I feel like we want to show off what we've been working on all this time.
This is very true. All right. So I found at one point a way to make screen size larger. Let's see if I can remember how to do it. Well, might just be stuck with this. So
might be stuck
all
with
right.
This works though. This is pretty good.
This works. All right. So this is macroverse.com. This is the home of Macroverse EPICS and Macroverse Worlds, and I'll quickly explain the difference between those. So Worlds are all of the different franchises that we are creating, and EPICS are the digital collectible media that exists within those franchises. Right now, this very cool interactive comics format. So let's dive into just taking a look at one of the worlds. We'll go into Bushido's. Actually, I'll come back to that. That's how you collect these. But I'll dive into the world of Bushido's here for a second. So for anyone that doesn't know, Bushido's created by a phenomenal illustrator named Jeremy Booth. Started as a character collection of 1,888 samurai in his very cool kind of graphic style that he does, and then expand into this universe by a collaborative process that we do with collectors, with people in the community, to initially figure out what is this world. We knew it was sci-fi samurai, but expanding that into a story was what with the community and then have now developed both this core comic series that we're going to take a quick look at, as well as a bunch of short stories, all created by members of the community based on the characters that they own, which is a whole thing in and of itself, which is also very, very cool. So these community stories are coming soon to app and will ultimately be a collectible edition as well. And then the epics come in these flavors. And so you can see this amazing animated version, which is done by Marvel and DC cover artist, along with animation by Julio Castro, who's one of the mass animation technique using a program called Spine. Super, super cool. The limited edition cover by Daniel F. Fernie, who you're going to see a lot more of across the Macroverse. This very cool ink. It's very cool ink edition, the black and white version of art. There's a non-animated collector's edition of Wando's. And then, spoiler alert, one of one from Jeremy, who created, has become a pretty well artist in the NFT and crypto space. A lot of his work selling for thousands of dollars. There's a one of one cover of his in the collection, which will be minted and collected at some point, and just super cool to have that in there. So let's take a quick look. If we go to the EPICS page, you'll see a couple of things. One is the EPICS that have been minted so far. EPICS is our name for this digital collectible format. So you can see all the ones that have been minted and collected. So all of these are owned by someone. You can see so far we've gotten some collector's editions, some ink editions, limited editions. Haven't revealed an animated one or the one of one yet. So those are still to be found as people mint them. But this interactive tile is the core of the epic. And with you can come and see the edition number. So right now we can see that 26 out of 710 limited editions have been collected. This tells you how many epics are in this series. So in season 1 of those, there are 5 epics, these different editions. How many seasons are included in this epic? This is season 1, all included in this particular collectible. How many episodes are currently in the side of this package? And so right now there are 3 of 8 that will be inside of season 1. So right now there are 3, but there will be more that are actually pushed dynamic to this collectible edition. You'll notice there are extras and rewards, and we'll have more to say about that a little bit later, but we built in this technology a way to provide extra and also some rewards based on how people participate in the overall Macroverse ecosystem. You get a little information about the series, a little summary, a little rating here that becomes important if you are potentially reading these to particular, just Darkland, which we love, gets very spicy, and then you can see which episodes included currently in this epic. So we're going to be new episodes into each of these series on a weekly or bi-weekly basis until each one is complete. So right now the first episodes are there, having just launched. Episode 4 will come next week, and then publish the release schedule for the rest of the series with that. If you do not own this particular epic, you can get a preview of what the series actually looks like right from inside it. So you can get a little peek, what the art looks like. Shout out to Nicholas Castell, who has done a beautiful job bringing this world to life. Shout out to Adam Martin, who has done most of the heavy lifting on the right side of these scripts. I'll give myself a little credit for some polish, but definitely all the heavy lifting. And then from this page, whether you own these or not, you can jump into the first episode as a free episode, so you can really get a sense of what the story looks like and feels like when you own this. And so instead of doing that, I'm going to show you, this is one that we actually minted. So from this page, you can tell this is someone that someone else owns because it has the preview button. This is someone that we own. One is an edition that we own because it has a start now button. And if you have a start now button, or if over to my epics, the ones that we own in our wallet right now, then you can hit start now, and it will take you right to the player, so that you can start reading the story. And so one thing that we think is super cool about this is we've designed the reading experience to dynamically adapt to whatever screen you're on. So I'm on my desktop right now, this beautiful wide experience. If I was on my phone, I would get it in a mobile optimized format. And that is all part and parcel of this new digital comics format that we've invented called the Tap Story. So you'll notice that rather than turning pages every time I click, or if I'm on a mobile device, tap the screen, we move through the story. And it allows us to do some really cool things in the story. Just, this as a simple example, using the same piece of art, we create this more cinematic through the story, now focusing in on Ray's here as in his Bushido incarnation. And so, it's going to move through the story as opposed to just turning it. And so, I always like to say, it's true to what comics are, just juxtaposition of words and pictures that tell a story that, help us kind of find ourselves interacting with this, unique visual medium in a way where we forget that we're looking at just drawings and text and really become immersed in the storytelling. But it's done in a way that's really optimized specifically something that only do in digital, as opposed to just taking something that was designed for print and putting it on the screen. So this is episode 1 of Bushido's. As I click through it, Adam, I was thinking we should at some schedule like some almost like a little table read of each of the first episodes.
That would be fun, right?
Get some people from the communities to come and do like a little read through of the first episode.
A little read through. It's funny. I was thinking the same thing. I was talking to a friend recently, and he was saying the same thing. It was like it was the context of TV in his case, but it was this is when things come alive. Truly, is when you get them on their feet for the first time. It's very fun. Yes, I think that's a great idea.
One thing Nicholas did, and I think this have been I think it was in the visual development phase, but the Bushidos that Jeremy designed, they all have these very cool face masks, and so it's kind of unique looking characters, and all these are based on specific characters in the collection. And then for a handful of you see on the Bushido Twitter, we've now cast characters from the collection as the main characters here as well, so royalties that will come from that, which we can get a little more into over time. But one of the things that Nicholas, the artist, and we kind of came up with, I believe it came from him, was that you get into getting to know them as people, as as human type characters, as perhaps that we see their faces, and so having these masks that is based on whether they're in battle or not. It's kind of a cool component of that. We meet we meet Convocation, kind of the governing here, and we're discussing what to do about this upheaval and the appearance of Ronan. And so we immediately kind of bring our core characters together, little conflict, and then we learn, spoiler alert, that the Bushido that we were introduced to in the opening scene is now the Ronin that we're meeting here in the closing scene. And so now, because I own this edition, I can just seamlessly transition into episode 2. So this is now episode 2, and as you added to EPICS, you'll be able to you can read an episode and pause, and then at any point, like kind of a Netflix or other streaming experience, they come in here and go like, oh, I want to go back to episode 2. I can click it from here, or we actually recognize that you're in the middle of episode 2 and can just click the continue button to go right back to where I left off. So,
And I think it's worth saying, like, that's a big part of the design and thinking. Am I coming through okay, Eben, or am I
yeah, you're good.
delayed?
No, you're good. You're good.
Just saying, I think it is part of the benefit of you and Ricky's experience, especially, is the kind of user interface, user experience part of all this, because it does, it is this very kind of smooth and elegant interaction with this technology from the user perspective, from the reader perspective, from the
Mm-hmm.
fan perspective, and a lot of thought and effort has gone into crafting that experience and making that
Yeah.
as compelling as possible,
Well,
which I
and
think wouldn't have worked as well without yours and Ricky's background.
I will take that. I am very proud of the design of these.
Yes, you should be.
It is something I actually love and did most of myself.
Yes.
And then shout out to the team at Agsy as well, who actually makes it all work. So
Yeah, exactly.
like I provide very detailed prototypes, but without the ability to code it and connect it to the blockchain and figure out the challenges around how to make it feel seamless, which is not my area of expertise, and it is theirs. That's where it all comes together. And then a couple things I want to point out here, which are a little bit kind of hidden, but cool to see. So when you have this tile, like there's all the, what is it? How do I read it? A lot, but you've also got this little menu here. And so there's a few things in here that are special when you're connected to our platform, macroverse.com. So one thing is you can see the specific makers that are associated with this edition. You can also get a peek at this cover art in its full glory. So these covers are actually designed at this small tile size. And sorry, we're loading a little slow at the moment, but they're actually designed in this, again, sort of beautiful wide cover art. And when you are on a secondary market or looking at this on OpenSea, you get this full same interactive experience wherever you find this because it's on the blockchain. But when you're on our site, we'll recognize this cover art here and give you a gorgeous version of it that really allows you to kind of see all the detail of it. Tells you who the creators are, a little more information about, again, what's in this epic. This is number 4 out of 1,000 that was minted in the Bushido's collection. And then I'm going to flag what I found, which we're working on fixing right now, which is you can go full screen, but it's to go full screen in the middle. These are the kind of things that I get like picky about because it was designed to go in the middle. But it does still go full screen. So very cool. And if you want to download that cover art and use it as paper or anything else, there's a link to do that when you have it here as well. I can also go directly to OpenSea and see this edition on the marketplace. And so from here, like I was saying, you can see the same interactive tile that you have all the same ability to with, here on the marketplace. You can see what episodes are in there, see the preview of it. Now, one distinction is you cannot launch the episode player from within OpenSea. And the reason for that is that I think very rightly, OpenSea does not want you to be able to launch outside data or launch data that would potentially connect to something outside of their system for security reasons. And so I can't really argue with that. so to actually read these, you do need to come to macroverse.com. Not because it's not possible to do it outside, but because we've built our system to do that, to accommodate for that. And then let's say you want to collect some of these. So, from here, we've made a lot of places where you can collect. So there's a mint epics here. If you go back to the world, you can click any of the kind of larger tiles here. There's obviously at the top, there's, all kinds of places to launch the minting experience. And these are all the different series that are currently available. So the first 5 in this drop, you can see these awesome animated covers for each of them. The second to most rare editions are the animated ones with, of course, 1-of-1 cover in each of the series as well. And then you just decide how many that you want, and then click. In this case, we have some claims as the creators of this to mint some that we can use for giveaways and other purposes. But you would then click this button, which would be a mint button, and then it will take you, to the minting confirmation screen after you sign in your wallet, and then at that point you'll have them in your collection to come and read and dive into and continue to explore. There is some fun other things if you want to get to know these worlds. You can see all the different creators and collaborators that are involved. We've got their specific socials, so anybody that you really respond to their work, give them a follow. You can use this menu at the top to jump around to the different worlds and learn about these different universes of characters and stories. As you're deciding which epics that you want to collect, we want to give you kind of a way of getting to know what these worlds are. So we've got kind of a traditional synopses. This also tells you at this point how many epics, characters, stories, and extras and rewards that are coming soon. In Dead Town is one extra addition, which is that you can also currently create a zombie Zed character, which is its own experience. create your own zombies, and we'll talk about that for a sec. This button allows you to add this particular series to your watch list or to a series that you want to continue to watch. There's a feature that will launch soon, which connects directly to that. So there are a few things in the app right now where we're building a foundation. Like we will have user profile coming relatively soon, and there are a few things like adding things to your, which all it does right now is give you the check mark to say that you're following this series, but that will have some additional application as we roll out some new. Again, there's a whole bunch of community stories which have been turned into shorts, which will launch on the mobile app first, and then in collectible editions here as well. Incredible 1-of-1 cover for Dead Town by an artist that goes by and just all of them super cool. And then because we have the ability to create characters out of Dead Town, we also surface those characters here, and you can even tell your own stories with these characters. So as you dive into this, you'll see that we've got a gamification layer which we've built into this. If you own this particular character, you can update their story or say what their story is, their backstory. You have the ability to have them greenlit, which makes them canonical, and that's what generates the ability to produce the shorts. They get their own kind of special treatment around all of that, and you can all explore all that in this characters tab. This is a sneak peek at what will happen to the other worlds that all have character collections. So one of our things that relatively early next year is bring Bushido's and the Galactic Secret Agency and the other worlds that have these collections of characters, Vogu, into the same format.
Vogu, exactly.
So that we'll be able to give those collections our stats and inventory system. Give them the ability to create stories here on the app, and then all kinds of things that we can do on top of that as things progress. Then
with the very, very directly with the idea of also gamification, with the goal to incorporate that obviously into an ongoing and expanding, not just storytelling, not just any of those things, but actual utility within a gaming ecosystem for the characters that you
exactly. So here's Vogu as an example. Vogu will come out at some point next year in a collectible edition. So we're in the early stages of producing the comic series with Jason, the original Vogu artist, Jason Trendat. And so it's underway now. And if you want to get a jump on Grogu or DMC or GSA or any of the ones that haven't released yet, there is a place to do that as well, which is currently set up. All kinds of things coming next year. And as we always like to say, and people in the community have now experienced, the more you participate in this ecosystem in all the different ways that you can, the more we're able to reward that participation over time. So, keep that in mind as you play, as you come and play. So that is a quick overview of EPICS, how they work, what they are, these worlds. I hope people will dive into these stories and experience just the absolute labor of love, not just from us, but from every creator that is part of this first drop. None of this is easy, but being able to bring it all together into this unique package is, I think, a really cool step forward for what we think the future of and kind of larger way that we build franchises and entertainment with fans and community as a part of it, as opposed to just the recipient of it. We think that plays out in a very cool way over the next several years, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. So, a tour of EPICS now live in the world. I'm excited.
It's just like especially in a community about this stuff. Let's discuss that. We have been months. It's coming.
Yeah.
Hopefully you feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're breaking up a little there, but what I got was it's been a long time coming, and we're excited to finally have it out. So, as always, connect with us on Twitter, connect with us directly in Discord, where if you want to ask questions, if you want to talk about what you got, show off what you collected, come find us, discord.gg/Macroverse. And I think a final shout out before we end the live stream, just to kind of switch gears for just a second. Other thing that has happened over the past month is we did successfully fund a Kickstarter project with the team at Stupid Buddy Studios, who makes Robot Chicken, called the Von Dingles. There are a few days. There are a few days left in the Kickstarter campaign to pre-order the book. 3 days left in the Kickstarter campaign to pre-order the book. All kinds of fun perks and exclusives that are available there as well. So if you like Robot Chicken, I guarantee you will love what we're doing with the Von Dingles. You can links to that both in the Discord and on our main Twitter page as well, at Macroverse on Twitter. But check out the campaign if you're a fan of Robot Chicken. Again, you absolutely, unquestionably, undoubtedly, undubitably love love the Von Dingles. Check out EPICS. Come say hi and let us know what you think, either on Discord or in the comments on this video. And there'll be lots more to come.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm sorry my internet was so bad. We'll see you guys later.
See you later. We'll be back very soon. Bye.